Hey folks, this is just a continuation of the episode about sharpening and cutting the pieces of wood ready for making the box. And it was going to be a 40-minute video, so we decided to cut it in half. So this is just the continuation of the previous half or the previous part of this episode. So thanks for watching. So let's gather up the tools. The first thing we need in the plane wall here is our Lee Nelson number 51 shooting board plane. So the blade's over here. Notice how it's mounted on an angle. That's why this frog is on an angle like that. And then we get our shooting board that we use. It comes with two pieces. This is an adapter right here called a dog. And this piece will go down here like this. And notice we've got a ramp going downhill that actually makes it easier to plane, and it allows us to use more of the plane blade as we're going down, because we're using a higher part going down to a lower part as we plane down. This little device uses two little things to go in these two metal holes. Just like that, and there's a magnet on the inside that locks. So that's done. And as the plane glides through this track in a very smooth way, I've already waxed it up, and so it works really well. I can take one of these edges of the boards and put it in here. It's going to cut. I don't have the plane coming out, but it would cut that board, a bevel on that board. I'll do that on all those boards when we get ready to do it. The other tools we need are the sharpening tools. So we'll get those out. And I need this one. We'll put it on top of the board. Get the whole thing out at once. That's heavy. Bring it out here. Put it on this side. We'll open this up from here and get the measuring device out and the blade holder, the rolling device out. We don't need this little piece. This piece is used for measuring existing angles of existing planes so you can match them properly. So this is the water that we use to lubricate the stones, and this water is home right. Mixed with water, and what that does is prevent rust from forming as well. So I need a couple of dogs to keep this thing from moving around, and here those are right here. And we get those holes close from both sides, and drop it down in here, shift it around a little bit, push it all the way down, drop it in here, push it all the way down. Now this is really part of the table. It's not moving at all. We're only going to be using this 1,000 grit stone and this 16,000 grit stone. This is a Shapton water stone, and this is also a water stone, but it's got two sides. The only thing this stone's used for is for smoothing the back, sharpening the back of chisel blades, which has to be exactly flat, and so you want that polished and flat, and I'll tell you reasons for why on that on a much later video I do. But anyway, that's the tools we need. So the next step is to get to sharpening and disassemble this plane, and we'll do that next. The next thing we're going to do is to disassemble this plane iron. So I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it right here, and this is a lever cap, this bronze thing right here, or brass, or whatever it is. It's probably bronze. So I move the lever cap up out of the way, so now the lever cap is off, and now I can take the plane iron out, and the plane iron is in a skewed angle to help it cut more smoothly on these things. And the plane iron is made up of two pieces. You can see up close here about a 32nd of an inch The top blade right here is called a chip breaker, and then this is the actual planing blade, and it goes bevel down. And the screw is on the bottom then as it fits in there. So let me get my screwdriver out, and I had it really tight. So that'll come in handy in just a moment. And the first thing I do is turn it over and get my chip breaker out, and I pull it back to get it out of the way so that it won't be messed up. And then I can twist it like this and just pull it out of the way. So we won't be using the chip breaker to sharpen with, but we will be using this plane iron right here. So the plane iron is here, ready to go, and we'll get started on sharpening. And we use this device to hold the plane iron. These two brass wheels will roll on the stone itself, and then these two corners right here and right here will hold the plane blade. Now I've got to open it up some so I can get this 2.5 inch blade through there. And since it's going to be pointing down, and I want the bevel of the plane pointing down as well, I'll mount it on here like this. It's still not quite wide enough. I need a little bit more. A little bit more. Like that should fit. And that slides in here. This is just resting now on this plate. It's not tightened up yet, but I'm going to tighten it up, and that'll square everything up. And now I need to know how long that plane should stick out, because depending upon how long it is, it's going to either be touching that complete bevel or not. This is a base 25-degree primary bevel on here, and the way you measure that is you turn this upside down, and we're going to pull this out and just get the 25 degrees. So here's the 25-degree mark, and it's that pin. And so we're going to find this 25-degree mark right here. That holds it in there, and then we can tighten this down. And now we can set it for the 25 degrees. Loosen up a little bit so that I can slide all the way forward. Now the plane blade touches that, and I tighten it up. And I extra tighten it because I don't want that angle slipping at all as we go through there. Alright, now I'm not going to use this middle stone. This is an 8,000 grit stone. This is a 1,000 grit, and it's also got a 300 grit on the back side. And this is a 16,000 grit. So we're just going to use 1,000 and 16,000 to do the sharpening today. We use this 8,000 to sharpen the backs of chisels, which is really kind of a one-time process, but that's what that stone is typically used for. I could progress through all three, but Rob Cosman taught me this method, and he says we don't really need to go. We can go straight from the 1,000 to the 16,000, and it'll work perfectly. So the 1,000 is up. Let me spray some hone right, and the first thing we're going to do is make sure this Shapton waterstone is completely flat. So, and we can do this with this 300 grit side, because this is nothing but steel, and the steel doesn't deform, and it doesn't get any grooves or anything in it like that. So this should be fine. And what I'll do is I'll just place this down on top of here, and by rubbing around on this stone, it'll cut a little bit of the stone away until it's completely flat. And so that looks nice and flat right there, and you can see the white parts of the stone that have come off. I'm through with that 300 side, so I'll lay it back down, and we're ready to use this stone. But the first thing we're going to do is use this 1,000 grit to make sure we've got a good primary bevel. And what we're looking for is a burr as we begin to sharpen. Pull some of that water back. I really need to put some sort of thing on it to keep these pieces of wood from sliding right here. But I think we're making good progress. On that stone. And really what I want to do is hone just the edge of it. I've been honing on the entire main bevel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it back. I'm going to loosen it up and place it back on here. I'm not going to go all the way to the 27 degree mark. There's where it's touching. I'll pull it back just a tad. And you can see what that will do. We'll actually raise it up a little bit so that we're honing just on the edge. There's no point in honing anywhere else. And I don't feel a bevel across. This ought to give us a bevel at this point. Not a bevel, a burr. And most of the sharpening happens at this level of the 1000. It doesn't take very much once we get it pretty sharp. All right, I feel the bevel all the way across, the burr all the way across, so we're ready to go to the next step. The next step is since I just came not quite to 27, I'm going to go exactly to 27 this time. So I'm going to move, before I start working on this, so I'm going to move it down just a little bit, loosen it up, take the out of there and move this down to the 27 mark. Tighten it. So you see this is now ready to go. I've loosened this up. Actually, it's upside down. Pull this back to where it's completely out of the way. Push this all the way up. Run this up against the edge. And that's already tight. Tighten this is what I want. So that's tight now. So now we're at 27 degrees. And at 27 degrees is a little bit higher than what I had on that 1000. So that should be good for us. I need a paper towel though to wipe off any debris from that 1000 grit. I don't want to contaminate the 16,000 grit with any pieces of 1000 grit in here. So we'll sharpen it again. Spray it again rather. And so here we go. This stone cuts very fast, even though I'm barely applying pressure. I'm almost just letting the weight of the blade and the device do its work. So you see the black part already forming on here. It's collecting in the middle. I'm going to press down on the right hand side a little bit and press down on the left hand side a little bit. That'll put a very slight camber on there, which actually helps you when overlapping pieces of planing on here, which we really won't be doing with this one, but I just want to be sure we get the entire bevel right here. So you almost have to use a magnifying glass to see this. And I don't know how to do that on this camera. Let me get under the lights. And you can see that front edge is mirror sharp all the way down. We still have a burr on the back. And we need to get rid of that burr now. So I'm finished with all the sharpening. I'll loosen this up. I take the blade out the front way because I don't want to scratch it as it comes out the back way. I'm done with that. And what we do now is we use the Charlesworth ruler trick. And this is just a very thin little 1/2 millimeter ruler, metric ruler down here. And it doesn't need to be metric, but I had an extra one. And I use imperial measurements. And so you put this on here, and what that does is it raises it up very slightly and puts a slight little bevel on this back. So as I am removing this burr, I'm going to be making a little bevel on this side as well. And that's all it takes to remove that burr. Burr's gone. We wipe it out. And you can see that once you've got your basic bevel down here, sharpening plane is really nothing more than that little minute or so of work. And what I do, the way I test it is I take any fingernail, and if I can lay not pressing it down, and just actually letting the weight of the stone touch that fingernail, it's actually holding up that blade, because it cuts into the fingernail that easily. And that's a good test of the sharpness of it. No need to do any other kind of test. No need to cut paper. Paper really pulls it up fast, or whatever. So anyway, that's that, and we'll take the next step of actually demonstrating cutting using this plane after I get it put back together. Matter of fact, let me just show you how I put that back together. So we take this plane iron and this device here, and we need the chip breaker here. So the chip breaker has a little ledge on it. That ledge goes down, and that screw hole goes down through this screw hole here. So I pull it back, slide it around. There's the bottom edge of the bevel on that blade. And now slide this up until it's about a 32nd of an inch away from the edge right there. And that's really all we need to do. I'll hold it tightly as I screw this down tightly. You want this to be tight because that breaker blade is actually what moves that plane back and forth. The handle on this plane right here goes back and forth. That little round thing goes in this channel, and the screw comes up through here. And so that's the way this blade fits over there. So I'm going to make sure the handle is centered. I'm going to hold the plane where this is flat. That's called the frog. And I'll lay this down on the frog just like so. Be careful not to touch the edge anywhere on here. And now the little pin comes up through this little hole, and that's what screws the blade in and out. And now I'm ready to take the lever cap and place it on here, pressing it down. Alright, so it snaps down. So that's in there. And the next thing we do is we look. Okay. Now that we've got the plane assembled, what we're going to do is I've set up this piece of white paper in this wood, and this is actually the plane iron, and then right here is where the blade is. You can't see it right now because it's not sticking out, but I'm looking at this with the camera going straight down from the top of the blade. Let me go back so you can see what we're kind of looking at. And now I'm going to go back right on top of this because I want to get an extreme angle here. And so I will raise the blade up or make it come out. You can see it starting to peep out a little bit right there. And so now it looks like it's pretty even. Now if it was off a little bit, if I pull the lever, notice I can make it extend up on the left, or by pushing it to the left I can make it extend up on the right. So I want to get that blade exactly parallel. And what happened? As I pull it out, it's going to retract and get a thinner line. So if any part of that line disappears before any other, it's still not quite right. So I had to adjust it just a little bit right there. And as it's coming down, I still see it on the right there a little bit. And it's still coming out, going in. And now it has completely disappeared. So I think we've got the blade adjusted exactly right. I don't want to be able to see any part of that blade. Actually, I can still feel it. So I'm going to make it come complete. Notice it just totally disappeared. So now I don't feel it at all. I do feel that opening, but I don't feel the blade touching me on that. So that's how you get the blade set right. So if I proceed out with it, it'll come out in a nice even line. So this is ready to go here, and I'll advance that as we begin to use this thing. So let me put up all these tools, clean them up a little bit. Take the paper towel, wipe off anything here. Paper towel on this. Wipe off that 1000 grit. Wipe off this. What I need is some kind of rubberized feet on these two little things here that'll hold this a little bit better. So anyway, that's all done. As I lift this up, move it over, I can get my dogs out of here, put them up. Hey folks, thanks for watching. Please be sure to click the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Click the like button if you like the video, and click the bell button if you want to be notified of any new videos that come out. Thanks a lot. That really helps us.